Oh, there we go. Hey. Okay, so I am up on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you're here on LinkedIn, welcome, welcome. I'm here to share a little bit about my new program, how Asian femmes, non-binary folks, and trans folks can swap burnout for peace in the workplace in just 4 months. So some of the things that we talk about. First of all, let me just go over like what is it that I'm working on? I'm working on a program that we can collectively together um, go through to banish workplace burnout, and it is a mind body program. So what that just means is we recognize that our mind and our bodies are connected, and we're not just like floating heads or like disconnected bodies, but we have wisdom that our body shows us. And sometimes our mind shows us wisdom too, but our body also shows us wisdom in where our boundaries are and what we're comfortable with or we're not comfortable with. And also, it shows us where um, we're stuck in our lives. So, my program helps folks to make that connection. And through that connection and the regular connection of the mind and body, that is where burnout can really be banished. And um, I created this program for so many reasons, but the top four reasons that I created this program was I was looking for answers myself. I was so burned out with um, being a parent. I was being a full time parent. I had lots of things going on with my. Um, we have some properties that we rent out and some Airbnbs that we manage, um, and I was doing a therapy practice, mental health therapy practice. I still am doing a private practice with my mental health practice, but um, I was juggling being a parent and being an entrepreneur at the same time. And I wanted answers for myself. I wanted to know how I could live sustainably for the next, 40 something years, hopefully, and not be burned out because I was already experiencing some symptoms. Um, Another reason why I really wanted to put together this program because I mentioned earlier in my first live that I went to take your daughter to work day growing up, and maybe that name has changed right now, but it used to be called Take Your Daughter to Work Day, and it used to be like a national day where people went with their parents to go work, um, and just observing what their parents did at work. And so at that time, my mother worked for a big bank, and she was in computer programming, which is really rare at that time to see an Asian femme in the 80s and 70s in computer programming. So she took me, and what I saw her scrambling. I saw her feeling like she had to prove something. And English is her second language, or actually like fourth language. She speaks many, many languages. But what I saw was a lot of microaggressions. I saw people talk down to her. And I saw her being really tired, pretty isolated, not having many friends. And what I took away was, gosh, like she is tired. And I was really turned off with work. I remember when I was really young, I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur because I can't see myself working a 9 to 5, or in her case, like a 7 to 7. Um, and that's probably why I steered clear from that. But um, that's I know now that that's possible to work a 9 to 5 or a traditional job and not be burned out. My mother's case was the exception. Um, And now it's apparently not the exception because a lot of people are burned out. Um, but she was one of the few Asian femmes in her corporate workplace without much support. So the reason why I created this program was not only for her, but it was someone like her. She's retired a long time ago and she's no longer working in the bank. But I created a program for people like her, for people that um, are one of the few people in their workplaces that are of color. So I work with a lot of women in white dominated industries, and they just want to feed their families. They just want to make it through the day. They want to just survive another day in a really harsh environment. And I wish my mom had this program decades ago to really eventually like break generational cycles. Big reason why I am really passionate about this program is because ultimately my goal is to help folks break generational cycles that do not serve them. So my mother's generational pattern that she passed down to me was you have to at all costs suffer in order to succeed. And that is common immigrant rhetoric. That's the common immigrant rhetoric, one of the common immigrant rhetorics. And um, that was passed down to me. So I just thought like I had to subscribe to hustle culture. I had to subscribe to um, really suffering. Otherwise, I did not feel like I deserved to succeed. And that explicitly, I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't subscribe to that. But so much of it is implicit, which is why I address the program that I'm working through is because in order to break generational cycles, the body needs to be engaged. So generational cycles and patterns live in our bodies. In order to break that, we need to engage our bodies. Um, so as for this program, the reason why it helps to break generational cycles is because it addresses our relationship to work. And generationally, our ancestors and our elders as Asian folks have had a really complicated relationship with work. I mean, who here resonates with that, right? Like, y'all seen your aunties, your uncles, your grandparents break their backs and really have to suffer a lot and hustle to get to where we are now. They've given us all these resources because of their complicated relationship with work. And for that, I'm so grateful, but I'm not grateful for the cycles, the patterns. And I'm here to create space to have a different, to have, to make space for folks to have a different relationship with work. And as a result, a different relationship with themselves. Because ultimately, the change comes when we redefine our relationship with work, we redefine our relationship with ourselves. So, who is this program for? This is for folks who identify as Asian femmes, non binary, trans folks who want to succeed in their workplaces without burning out. What does that mean? And how can we use that in the same sentence? It success and burning out often goes hand in hand, right? Like when you think of succeeding in the workplace and succeeding in your jobs, burnout is almost feels inevitable. But I want to make space to challenge that paradigm and to challenge that paradox to say, hey, we can have success without burning out. Um, another 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 group of people that this is for are for people who want to challenge Asian femmes, non binary trans folks who want to challenge the all or nothing approach. So much of our thinking is, gosh, we got to go big or go home. And that's, and no pain and no gain. Um, and I really want to challenge that. In our workplaces, do we really need to go big or go home? Or is there space for nuance? Right? We have been sold that we have to be people who are go-getters, who are relentless and persistent. And there's some truth to that. But what happens is our baseline of stress has increased because of that. And what I mean by that is when we go, 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 and we have this like stuckness in our pace that's like elevated, then our baseline for stress, our normal stress, then is like elevated and increased. So when we wake up in the morning, you're sometimes if you find yourself in this situation, um it's all too painful, right? When you wake up and you're like, holy shit, I have like 5, 10 things I need to do right now. It's like you wake up and you're like, go, go, go. And that is part of the nothing approach. And it's the result of the all or nothing approach. So if you find yourself in that position, this program's for you. Another um, this program is for folks who are empathetic leaders who are worn out from rescuing their colleagues, team members, family, um, and friends, and are ready to apply compassionate boundaries. We will be talking so much about boundaries here, and boundaries from a holistic standpoint, um, engaging the mind and body, power, race, family, intergenerational cycles, all of that good stuff. And this is a program for folks who are abolitionist minded that are trying to balance their need for rest and real world urgency. There's, as you know, a lot of what's going on in this world is not, I mean, there's a trigger warning for everything these days because what's going on is so much. Um, and I work with a lot of activists, a lot of professionals who do so much activism on the um, in addition to their full-time jobs, and who often come and talk about burnout and how it's really really difficult to just rest because there's so much to do. This is a program also for folks who want to be the subject matter experts in their lives. The way I approach this program is that it's really important for us to not come in, for me to not come in with a very colonized lens. Like, I don't view folks that come into the program as blank slates that need downloading of information. That is not what this program is about. This program is about coming from the starting point that you are subject matter experts in your lives and you are your own expert. I'm not going to come in here and say you should do this, you should do that. There's none of that that's going to be happening. And it really comes from a place of strengths because we examine, parts of your lives, of course, that are growing edges, but in your growing edges are where also your unleveraged strengths are. So this is not a program where folks are going to be seeing themselves as broken or defective. And Resmaa Menakem, author of My Grandmother's Hands, talks about how we are not defective. No one is defective. And so that is really, really important. And that will be a common theme that you'll hear is you are not broken. You are not someone to be fixed. We are people. We are humans and we're messy. And a lot of the structural, historical, institutional, and persistent trauma are things that impact us on the daily. And are needed to metabolize, and it does not make us broken. So I hope that if any of y'all forget everything that I shared, the thing to go back to is y'all are not broken. We're not broken. We're not defective. So who is this program for? This program is for people who like to go, 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 and then collapse on their couch and watch Netflix and veg out. And so what we find is that folks are coming to me and they're like, Angela, like, I don't know how to rest. I'm going and then I hit a wall and then I collapse and then I start over the next day. If you're this person, this program is for you. When our bodies are going all the time, it then gets stuck in this going pattern, and it's hard to come out from it. In fact, it can feel so dangerous and so unsafe to slow down for folks who are going, going, going. So I wanted to invite you. If this is you, then you know what I'm talking about. And the first aspect is this is a group for people who want to succeed without burning out, who want to succeed without burning out. Number 2, this is a group for people who want to challenge their all or nothing approach. Number 3, this is a group for empathetic leaders who are worn out from rescuing their colleagues, teammates, and family members and are ready to apply compassionate boundaries. Number 4, people who are abolitionist minded that are trying to balance their need for rest with real world urgency. Number 5, people who are subject matters in their lives and don't want people telling them what to do. And people who don't want to see themselves as broken and defective. You are not broken and you are not defective. The next point is this is a program for people who are always on the go and then collapse, but don't know how to find their groove in between. And this is where we work on finding that like in between groove and flow. And that is where the magic happens with workplace, with working, to find balance through living in that groove. I forgot to turn on my do not disturb, so I'm going to do that right now. Let's see. Okay. The last is people, this is a program for folks who hold wonder for the universe and are very familiar with the harsh realities with the social, racial, economic, and environmental landscape. So these are for folks who, want to be curious about exploring our body-mind connection. And sometimes it can feel really woo-woo to talk about ancestors, to talk about our bodies, but I promise you it's grounded in science too. So we love science here. And we also will talk about our ancestors, and about the harsh realities they faced and the harsh realities we still face now. So who is this group program not for? It is not for folks who don't want to connect with their bodies because they don't believe that there is a mind-body connection. They believe that they can think their way out of it, or work their way out of it, out of burnout, and they don't want to engage with their bodies. And that's not what this program is about, and it's not who this program is for. Another thing is, this is not a program for folks who are not wanting to disappoint other people or themselves. What I mean by that is nobody wants to disappoint other people. I understand that statement. But in order to step into a new pattern or a new space and to draw boundaries, it involves disappointing past versions of yourself. So the past version of yourself would say, succeed without and sacrifice everything you've got. They would say, go for it, go for workplace success or whatever it is that you're going for. Go get your goals at a deep personal expense to yourself. It could be the expense of your health, and it could be, and the big one is, we got to just like keep everyone happy. That is what a lot of people, their past versions of themselves really want to do. They want to keep people happy. And in this program, we are going to do really uncomfortable stuff that might not make people very happy, including past versions of yourself and maybe the current version of yourself. So I want to like put that expectation out there. It A lot of the things that you might find yourself wanting to do in this program will elicit discomfort, but only discomfort for the sake of growth, not for the sake of discomfort in and of itself. We're not like trying to have pain for the sake of pain here. Um, and it requires us to have hard conversations with ourselves as well as with others, especially drawing compassionate boundaries. So, this is really hard. This is a hard area for folks. And I want to recognize that it is very hard to shift the focus onto yourself. And people will be upset um, that they see a change in you, that you're taking care of yourself. People will be upset that you are taking care of yourself. I mean, let that sink in. That is really, really messed up in some ways, right? Like, if you start taking care of yourself and people start getting upset, um, I mean, I'm not talking about just kids. I mean, kids, of course. Um, like I work out, I try to work out every day, and working out does not involve, um, we have a gym in our garage, and I like to go down by myself. And um, and the kids don't like it. The kids don't like that I go down by myself, and they want to be with me. They want to hang out with me. In fact, my 9-month old just cries for the whole time that I'm in the gym. And I'm not like in there forever, but um, like I need at least 45 minutes to work out on my own. And people are not going to be happy. Like, my kids are not happy that I take care of myself. But eventually they see, like, wow, mom is happy after she works out, and she's in a better mood. Or, and even if they don't notice that, I feel good about myself. And all those like fun hormones and chemicals that come out once I work out. And so I guess I just want to say, it's going to be uncomfortable to have to take care of yourself, but the cost of not taking care of yourself is even higher. And working out is just like one aspect, but it's it just is a result of all these little decisions that we make will result in huge shifts later on. And it will make people unhappy if they're used to you always taking care of them. Another thing that this is not a program, another, if you find yourself um, thinking that race is just an adjunct thing or an extra thing or optional thing to address, this is a program that's not for you, because this program is a racialized program. I see race as part of, as an essential part of the lens that we look at ourselves and the world. So, if you're in the mental health world, like I am, all the models of therapy, CBT, somatics, even, and psychoanalysis, psychoanalytic, psychodynamic therapy, EMDR, EFT, PACT, even definitely some of the programs that I've trained in. Um, a race is just like something you mention if you're lucky. But for us in this program, I weave, I just, race is part of the whole program. So when we talk about racialized program, we see everything in the lens of race and how, um, it shows up in our bodies, how it shows up in our relationships, how it shows up in power and boundaries. And so if you feel like that's an optional thing to talk about, or if this is something that like you have no interest in talking about, this is not a program for you. Um, so that's that. What happens when someone joins the program? All right. When someone joins, I'll take you through a one-on-one session in the beginning and a one-on-one session at the end. But we meet for 16 sessions over the 4-month period. And I'm only inviting 2 people into this first cohort. So only 2 people. And it's an invitation to do some curriculum work. So we will be talking about some curriculum stuff, and it will be mixed in with some coaching stuff. So you will also receive some coaching in the members only Facebook group that we'll have together, and some interfacing through that is where most of the coaching will happen on an individualized basis. But we'll meet for 16 sessions. So it'll be weekly for over a 4+ month period, be 4.5 or around 5, depending on the holidays. But we'll meet 16 times, and in addition to 2 times one-on-one in the first and the last month. So walking through the unburnout strategy, just want to share about what the program is about. What does this program address? So something that is really really interesting with burnout that comes up, like I mentioned, is if you are going, you could be in a state of stuckness in your activation. And so a lot of people are not like, I want to wake up stuck every day, or sign me up for being burned out, right? And so some things that we will go through is, what are your values? What are your goals? And how can we align your mind and body with your goals? Something with how I define success in our program is that somebody can go from the go mentality to finding our groove. And what that groove means is that it's a state of flow. It's a state of stride, where you're finding your pace that is your most natural pace to work out. And it is where your inner, your most actualized version of yourself thrives. So the part of you that's clear, the part of you that's confident, where they thrive. And that usually happens in the in-between of the go and the collapse. So there's an in-between sweet spot of pacing where your body's like, wow, I'm in a flow. A flow is when you kind of lose track of time sometimes. You're like working from a place of good energy, and you're not necessarily enjoying what you're doing. And that's not one of the criteria for flow, but it just means that there's mindfulness about the task, and there's high motivation to complete it, but not at all costs. There's mindfulness about the body too. So the way I define not being burned out is the ability to choose in your body through nervous system practices that we'll do, body-based practices, to get unstuck from the go and into a state of flow. And of course, this is not like forever state of flow because we'll always fluctuate and there'll be like moments of discomfort and there'll be moments where you'll be like, I have to go. So, um, but the difference with this is you get to choose. You have agency over when you get to tell your body that you want to flow, that you want to go up to the go, 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 when you want to collapse and when you want to flow. And so that's how I define success is there's flexibility in your nervous system to choose and to go into enter into different states as it's choosing and as it has capacity for. So burnout happens when the mind and body are disconnected. And when your body overrides stuff, your mind overrides stuff, just like powers through. And again, to zoom out even more, like I've been saying, burnout is an institutional problem that has been made personal. So this is not to victim blame. This is not to say burnout is a result of something we've done, but it's a result of this a system's failure, capitalist failure. Capitalism is a failing system, and there's no way to eject ourselves out of it. But there are things that we can do that are in our agency and in our realm of control to care for our bodies. And I'm closing enrollment on October 15th. And I would love for folks to apply at the unburnoutstrategy.com. If you have any questions, feel free to send it there or send me a DM on Instagram. And I will look forward to talking to y'all soon. Have a good rest of your day. And thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.